Welcome to One Foot in the Grave. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jake.
So this
Good
is
day.
take 5 of season 2, episode 2. I am now wearing a Britney Spears-esque headphone upon my face because my blue microphone died.
And we're back. I was wearing that one last time we did it because I was traveling, and now I've got my good microphone, and you're in the Mikeville.
We're just trying to keep the quality standardized throughout all the episodes.
If you do one that has good quality, then people will come to expect it, and you'll let them down. Set the bar real low, and then you don't lose listeners.
Exactly.
We recorded this yesterday. This is going to be funny because usually it's...
No, we didn't record this yesterday. Well, we recorded yesterday, but we didn't record this. Yeah, we didn't record this yesterday because that could be any day.
That's right. Yeah. We attempted to record this episode yesterday, and we did, an hour and a half. It was a good-sized episode.
Yeah, it was pretty... I mean, it was pretty horrible.
No, I thought it was a good one. It meandered from the topic, of course, but we had some good ideas. The T-shirts, like the T-shirt idea.
T-shirts. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? It's probably saved you quite a bit of money.
I keep looking at the screen. My name on the screen is horror. I did that for luck.
I don't get to choose what mine is.
I know, because you're using the account, the corporate account.
The corporate account. Oh,
but listen, the T-shirt idea. So I thought this was quite cool. You know how good podcasts will sell you merchandise, and that's
they
how
call it merch.
Merch.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money that way. But we realized we only have we got Carmen, John, Justin, and you and I guess. Yeah. So
I'm getting a T-shirt for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to get one for me too. But what we thought we would do is we just do a mini merch for anyone who wants one. Just let us know. We'll bring it to work to give it to you, and just give us your size.
Because all our listeners are people that we know.
And you'd said you might make them on Vistaprint. I was kind of half thinking of just doing them with a blank white shirt and a Sharpie.
Well, I mean, you can put as much into it as you desire.
Yeah. Or we can send you the Sharpie and the shirt, and you can make your own One Foot in the Grave podcast T-shirt.
So I ordered a Sharpie from eBay because I know it sounds like they're ubiquitous and you'd be able to find them in any old supermarket.
Yeah.
But you can. But the problem is...
you were too lazy to go to the supermarket.
No, I wanted one that had the 0.4 millimeter tip.
End? Yeah.
Because I use it to write on my script labels so they don't smudge.
Okay.
So I ordered one on eBay because I couldn't find those ones, and it said fine tip, and I was like, yeah, fine point, whatever. And I ordered it, and it arrived the day before yesterday. But it was just an empty envelope with a rip in the bottom corner. And I thought either because I paid $2.50 for it. So either the guy is a genius and he's making $1.50 from sending an empty envelope
because he knows nobody's going to complain.
Yeah, I did.
Well, worst case scenario, if somebody complains, you have to send them a Sharpie.
Yeah.
Most people just be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, like what? Oh, I guess that's the end of that.
That's really funny.
So I sent him a message, and he was like, "Can you send me a photo of the?"
He's going to make it a hassle. You got to make it a hassle.
Yeah, and I said, "Sorry, man, I threw it out." Like
it was an envelope with a hole in it. I said
it was an envelope with a corner missing, and it was empty, and it had your return address on it. Dude, take it or leave it. That's what I got for you.
Oh man.
So apparently he's going to send me a refund.
Oh well, that's
because of course he doesn't actually have any Sharpies to send me.
I bought a watch on eBay. I like sort of mid-grade, kind of nice automatic watches, but not the super expensive ones. And you know how Dad bought them.
Let's not get into that.
Yeah, But
Let's not. I don't like the expensive watches.
no,
Says the
no,
guy
but
who wouldn't give me the fucking Rolex.
Oh yeah, we got in a Rolex fight. You already have one of his Rolexes. That's why we got in a Rolex fight. um, anyway, we'll just air our familial grievances on the
I don't
podcast.
think it was a fight though. It was
No,
more
not
just
really.
like
I just was
yeah.
a little teary, and you felt bad for me.
Yeah.
I was actually, I was quite shocked that you felt bad for me. I was very pleasantly surprised. It was a bonding moment. I was
Well,
like, I can't believe it. Dan has empathy.
Well, what were we saying? What did you say that I had yesterday where I can feel no joy?
Anhedonia.
Yeah, I've got that bad.
Yeah.
So I was as surprised as you were in that particular moment.
It's like, I think the example we gave was that you had a dream that somebody was giving a soccer player a blowjob on the sidelines.
Yeah,
but he was
like
just it was like they were massaging his calf. It was just like totally clinical, and he was just sitting there with no smile on his face.
Yeah, and I remember looking at whoever I was with and going, "What the fuck is going on?" And they were like, "What are you talking about?" Like it was like the biggest
part of the game.
nothing. Yeah. This is just, they run out and they give them a blowjob.
He's got a cramp in his leg, they rub his leg. He's got an erection, they give him a blowjob. He's got to get back to the game.
No distractions.
He's committed. Yeah, I was thinking about that last night because I don't, I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't receive BJs anymore. But
I was thinking about that last night. I was thinking
about your dream as I was going to bed. No, and I was just thinking like, geez, I was trying to think back to the last encounter I had, and I probably did just like lie there like a dead fish.
For fuck's sake.
Like,
oh gosh, I just remembered that Rob listens to this.
Hi, Rob.
Sorry, Pastor.
It was within the marriage, I'm sure, so it's not like it was...
I don't know, man. I don't know if there's anything biblical about a BJ.
Well, we went to a church with a guy named BJ. Remember?
No.
Oh, yeah, there was a... I can't say his last name, but there was... he's still there, BJ. He's in our church. Every time.
Well,
every time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hey,
Aaron's
BJ.
Aaron's got an Uncle BJ.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it means like... What would it be like? Brendan James or something like that.
Yeah, something.
Everyone just calls him Beej.
I just don't even know what to say.
We talked about it yesterday, of course, but I'd just like to let the listeners know that I was on vacation for a while, and when I came home, the deep freeze had thawed, and
yeah,
and it probably broke like right around the day we left, and so that was like 14 days. The turkeys in the deep freeze had degassed and destroyed our house. Ugh. So now, Chrissy had...
Were they wrapped in plastic?
Yeah, like a butterball turkey is in...
Yeah. So they were wrapped in plastic, and then even the plastic exploded.
It exploded like a balloon full of too much methane or whatever.
Gross.
But they exploded, and then it went right through the door of the fridge. Like it went onto the floor and then through the floor. So Chrissy had guys in today to tear up the floor. And I was trying to describe the smell, and the closest I could come was that it was like somebody had a shit on my mustache, and it was just like smeared into my nostrils, and I couldn't get rid of that smell for days. Even like my clothes, I felt like smelled like that and everything. Finally, I shaved yesterday morning. I shaved my beard and my mustache, or like trimmed them right off, and the smell went away. So I think the lesson in all this is that the smell of death can get into your facial hair.
No, it can't though. Like I can't imagine that that's true, because otherwise all the smells would live in your mustache. Although this particular one was probably like fatty, like it's probably the melted
like
fat.
Putrefaction. Yeah.
Yeah, that gets into you. So maybe it does, like sort of those little particles stick to you.
It was so
I think
gross.
I described the smell as being foul.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And sticking to puns, on the last episode, you said you couldn't think, you had the Scaravan and you sold it, but you couldn't think of a scary term for your bedroom. But then we decided dread room.
The
I
dread
feel like
room.
we're just rehashing yesterday's conversation, but we kind of have to bring these
We
things
have to.
up.
That's the nature of the game. You
So
know.
listen, the business, the
You know
dread
what?
room, the the turkey thing we talked about,
Foul
the
smelling. Yeah.
foul smell, and also just on a side note, I've worked in the morgue and we've done some like pretty ripe decomposing bodies, not even close to the smell of
A dead
degassed
turkey.
rotten turkeys. Nothing like it.
Yeah. I mean,
And then the
I've had to
t-shirts.
dissect turkeys before, and the you know the thing about it is that it's a familiar smell because it it
It smells
changes
the
the
way
way
your
that
shit smells after you eat turkey, but stronger.
but
That's
also
the
like if you have dissected that, or if you've smelled that smell and then you've eaten an egg or you've eaten some chicken,
yeah.
sometimes you're like, oh,
It takes you right back.
I know this flavor and I know this smell. It's not as bad, but this is
They're
definitely innards
this
of chicken.
the same ketones are in
Yep.
there. When I was doing, we did a dissection of an old lady that was found in a car beside the side of the road. Dissection, it was an autopsy, right? And I was in pathology at the time, and we took at the end of my residency, we took the guy and his wife that we'd gone through the program with out to dinner at this really good steakhouse, and they had dry aged steak.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
And I bit into it, and
Yeah.
it was, at first I was like, that is the best steak I've ever had. And then the smell hit me, and I was like, oh, right,
It's
she
the
was
lady.
dry aged.
Yeah. Although dry aged is in a dry room, eventually that car would get pretty moist with all the bodily fluids
Yeah, I think
evaporating.
she'd only been in it a couple days, but it was potent. But it was
Yeah.
just that moldy, mildewy beef smell. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Yep, people die. Um, we're back.
yeah, we're back, guys, and more joyful than ever. Sorry, sorry, Pastor.
Turns out Dad was holding us back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we. If you want a T-shirt,
Oh, yeah.
just
Yeah,
send us a thing on Facebook, and
Yep. And tell your friends. So I think that the thing is that you have to tag 3 friends in a post on our on our Facebook page.
oh, that'd be so embarrassing for you because it's such a bad podcast.
It's the worst.
If you're willing to take on that embarrassment
Yeah,
and share
I'll get
this
you,
episode with your friends.
anybody in Australia, I will I'll get a Vistaprint made T-shirt. You just tell me your size. You pay for postage and the T-shirt, and and I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
My design. It
Anybody?
will be.
Well,
It'll be
you actually
something-
have designed some stuff. You've done. Remember when
Yeah,
you
yeah,
were a jeweler?
Yeah. I made a ring the other day.
Did
Just
you
the other
really?
day. Yeah, out of an old bracelet of Erin's that she didn't want anymore. So I
Are you
made it
smudging right now?
yeah, I am.
I can hear it. He bought some. It's not sandalwood, but he bought some
No,
kind of smudge
it's
stick. That
Palo Santo. I don't know. It's got to be
sounds
Spanish.
Korean.
Palo Santo.
Paro Santo. Sorry.
That would be Japanese.
Yeah.
They don't all sound the same, Jake. Yeah, so I bought some Palo Santo. I don't look. I want to believe that it gives good vibes and stuff, but the truth of the matter is, it just smells real nice. I've got a little bit of oud incense burning in one corner, a little bit of Palo Santo burning in my desk. And you know what? It's not a bad thing that I'm trying to cleanse my home and bring in good vibes, because today, friends, at 14:18, I'll write that down because the newest thing that we're going to do is we're going to give you the timestamps so you can skip over all our bullshit.
Yes.
And we'll get right into the meat.
Really, who's listening to this for the meat of the?
They're like, I really want to know. I really want to know about Latoya Amons. And that haunting that took place.
Yeah.
And because our thing fucked up yesterday, I was able to watch the documentary/mockumentary that Zach Bagoobies, I don't know, but he does ghost adventures on the Discovery Channel. He
Oh,
bought
yes.
this house and did a documentary on it, and I was able to watch that. So I'll give you a bit of commentary about that little beauty when I get to the end of the old Latoya Amon's haunting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so you ready for me to just jump right in?
Well, I was going to just quickly
Here we
before
go.
you
Let me
start.
just change the timestamp.
Fuck
Jeez.
this up for you. Um, I was wrong when I told Jack about Tupac and Biggie. So
Oh.
I actually had a chance
Oh
today.
wait. Oh wait. Is this a correction section?
Correction section. So Tupac, we were right. He got in a fight with Orlando somebody or other at a boxing match, a Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas. But then he got in Suge Knight's car, and
Oh yeah.
like
yeah.
you
Oh,
said,
that's a surprise. Yeah.
and yeah, it's not that surprising. And somebody shot him, I believe, at like a red light or something. And Suge Knight apparently did get grazed in the head.
Yeah.
And so when Jack said Suge Knight done it, maybe not.
Well,
but
still maybe.
yeah, still maybe. Biggie Smalls, yeah, because he owed Tupac like $3 million. Biggie Smalls, on the other hand, was in Los Angeles after the Soul Train Music Awards.
Yeah, and it was a revenge thing.
Yeah, and Puff Daddy or P
Oh,
Diddy
P Diddy.
or Piddles. I'm not sure if he ever used Piddles, but I'm gonna go with that. He and Biggie were leaving the scene in two different cars, and Puffy's car got through a red light, and Biggie Smalls' car got stopped at the red light, and somebody shot him, and they think maybe Suge Knight done it,
Oh,
but I don't. Anyway, sorry for the correction section, but I just wanted everyone to know that I was wrong.
oh.
Again, as
Well,
usual.
yeah. I think I guess in terms of this correction section, everyone is going, yeah, we know.
No,
So-
everybody's going, look, we're listening to this for the free t-shirt. We've never heard what you said before.
What are you
I
talking
was told
about?
there'd be a free shirt. Wouldn't it be nuts if we had to give out like 300 free shirts?
Well, I mean,
Well, you gotta pay for the-
Let's
you gotta-
clarify. You pay for the postage and pay for the shirt. But
Well,
we're
I'll
not-
tell you what, though. I'll tell you what. I'll pay for Carmen's shirt.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
Well,
there you go,
and
Carmen.
people who have contributed ideas, I'll pay for your shirts. Since only Carmen has done that, Carmen, free shirt.
Free shirt coming your way.
Yeah.
And again, Carmen, I'll also throw in the Christmas presents and the things that I owe you that are sitting on my shelf.
the stuff I owe you for watching the dogs.
Yeah, so all of that stuff that you basically already own is also coming your way. So,
We have a new listener,
gal.
by the way. Somebody named Leona from Vancouver. Oh, that was the other crazy thing that I fucked up last week. Sorry, Reverend. I'm trying to control the language, but if we've done blowjobs, we might as well talk about the other stuff. So I was
You've done blowjobs? Wait,
not with the Reverend.
This
Sorry.
is going to a dark
Jeez.
place.
No, let me clarify. We talked about them. I had to explain rainbow parties to you in the last episode. that
Yeah,
never got recorded.
well, I mean, I thought that they were something much worse.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? You told me that, I thought it was the same as a rainbow kiss, which,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Don't Google that.
I don't even know if it's a thing or if it's just something that you told me when I was a kid.
I think, no, I never heard of it, but you might have dreamed it along with your soccer
Oh,
player
golly.
BJ dream.
Yeah, the soccer player BJ thing was just so bizarre.
There is something about like going down on a woman that is a little bit like being attacked by a sea monster.
Oh no! Oh golly!
Just like I think the sounds.
Okay, hold on. Now, Urban Dictionary.
1911.
I'm just gonna read. Oh God! It is true. Okay, so
Never mind.
okay.
Don't.
Urban Dictionary defines a rainbow kiss as when a guy gives head to a girl while she's having her period and gets all the blood in his mouth, and a girl gives a guy head, but gets cum in her mouth. And now when the girl has blood cum in their mouth, they kiss each other.
That's
That's the worst.
that's pretty depraved. I don't think that's real though. I think that's just something like make believe, like the
Hey,
Dirty
So then
Sanchez or the donkey punch. You know,
it gives
we
you
hear these
like
things.
a context. Hey Melissa, say I give you head while you're having your period, and then you give me head, and then we kiss after. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, and then it says
I wish I could
rainbow
unhear that.
kiss. The second one is rainbow kiss, something that has never happened anywhere ever to anyone at all.
Yeah, yeah. I choose to believe that.
Yes.
Or it could be
Oh
something
no.
magical. You're on a vacation to Hawaii. There's a
Uh,
double rainbow. You kiss your loved one. It's a rainbow kiss. Let's go with that. Um,
Um, and then in context for the second one, it says, "Excuse me, darling. Now that we've achieved maturity and entered a sexual relationship, let us perform that rainbow kiss we heard about in school." No, I don't think we should actually.
that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. So after that entered my mind when you said rainbow party, the whole rainbow party seemed pretty tame.
Yeah, it seems like something that you'd find on Netflix.
Gosh. All right,
Rainbow
20
Party,
minutes.
season 1.
Oh gosh, it's the worst. Okay, 21 minutes. We're in. Okay, here's
All
a
right.
timestamp for you. I'll do the Latoya Amon's haunting, or the case of 200 demons, or Demon House.
Should I mute
Um,
this when you're talking? I like to interject. That's the only thing.
yeah, no, I think it's fine. I don't say much about yours when you're talking because they're boring.
That's
Um,
true. I wish we could remember when we started and you could play background music while it was going. That was cool.
yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
Inhaled your smudge stick.
I over smudged.
I over smudged.
Oh, Lord.
All
Right,
right.
so this is a story about a haunting and demonic possession. Sorry. So the victims were Latoya, her mother, Rosa Campbell, and her three children, all of whom report paranormal activity in the house. Now, again, I gave this disclaimer yesterday when I did the other episode of this exact same episode that, anyway, I'm taking all of this just from Wikipedia. So, if you want to play at home, feel free to pull up that page and we'll read along together. Um, it started in Gary, Indiana. Well, actually, no, don't do that because now that I've seen the, have you, are you, hello?
What?
Now that I've seen Demon House, the documentary on YouTube, which you can either pay for or not pay for, I chose to not pay for it.
Is that about this case?
Yes, this is about this
Oh,
particular
okay.
case, and the guy bought this house where all this happened. He was driving through Gary, Indiana, and I do believe that there would be nothing in the house that would scare me more than what I would find on the outside of the house at Gary, Indiana, because it's freaky in terms of a lot of homeless, a lot of poverty.
You're not a. You don't do well in big urban centers with a homeless population.
I'm not an urban fella.
No.
I'm uh,
You're a little frightened of the homeless.
uh, not of the homeless, just of homeless people that have mental illness that are not being treated.
I fear suffering vets.
No,
You're
it's
just a
like
terrible person,
it's
really.
the untamed mental
No,
illness.
I know what you mean.
That frightens me because I'm scared that they'll hurt me and then I'll be forced to run away like a scared puppy.
Perform fellatio on a very gravy heavy
Or
homeless
or
dick.
or
Sorry.
oh god. Um or oh, you know what? The Palo Santo, as you get closer to the end of it, leaves a very urine smelling smell
Uh-oh.
on your hands. I'm hoping that this isn't like some Hollywood that someone's just like, oh, I've drunk holy water and now I will piss upon this piece of stick. Um, no, no, the thing that scares me is that they're known to often carry like their little turds around with them in their pockets because they
What?
don't want to. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
No.
Like, no, I am not kidding.
You shouldn't
Google
give
it.
bad stigma to the homeless. They're wrong.
You should Google that fucking thing.
I'll tell you what,
Um,
I feel
Google
I
it.
do feel genuinely quite a lot of sympathy for the mentally ill homeless, like because they can't they can't
Well, they
function in
can't get help,
society. They
right?
just
No,
can't, and
like
they're unwilling to help themselves because of their mental
that's what
illness.
scares me. It's not like I'm scared because you're homeless. I'm scared because you are untreated schizophrenic and you think that I'm an alien trying to kill you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The guy who
And then
cut
you
the head off the guy on the Greyhound bus in Winnipeg. That guy, he was mentally ill. It wasn't.
that's he was troubled.
But that's
Um,
that's what you're afraid of.
Yes, yeah, not the humans, but they do hold their poops in their little pockets, and then I'm scared that they'll rub it on me, and I'll
Every time I
get
go
an
for a walk
infection.
and I see people walking around with a bag of dog shit, by the way, I'm like, I don't really need a dog. I love dogs, but I'm not somebody who can walk around with a bag of shit swinging from my hand
Well,
and enjoy the walk.
I know, but here's the thing, though. We we never did that, and never really intend to, do we? If
No.
we had a dog and they did a shit on someone's lawn, we'd be like, "Quick, let's get out of here before someone sees us
Well, I told you
and
about the
knows that it was
FPNS
us."
because, like, when I touch poop, I like immediately gag, like I'm gonna puke. When I even through a plastic baggie, it doesn't matter. Just makes me want to puke.
Well, how do you wipe your ass?
I use a glove. No. But so when I had the dog, I would walk behind it and I'd scoop down and I'd put a bunch of leaves and grass on its poop, and then I would pick up some more leaves and grass and pretend that was the poop and walk away with that. And that's shameful. And I feel bad. I wouldn't leave it on people's lawns. The dog would always poop like on the median or in the on the side of the road by the woods. But it mostly pooped in our lawn, so I just let it roll. But I couldn't do it. I can't pick up poop.
Yeah, I just typically leave it, um, regardless of where it is.
200 demons
Anyway,
in this place.
yeah, there's lots of them.
So Gary, Indiana is a impoverished area. You were saying,
Well, are
or
you
is it just
Googling it?
that
Because-
location?
Well, I
Because
mean,
I've been to
look,
Gary, I thought it was just like a normal city.
yeah, Google it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your job while I talk, because I didn't do any research, as we had all know. What are you doing?
I was just I had a little burpee there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's Gary,
so-
not Gary.
Yeah, no. Just days after they moved in, this family moved in December, a black fly swarm attacked their porch, or they had a big swarm of black flies in their porch, and they continued to come even after they thought they'd killed all the black flies.
In December, so it's pretty cold there.
December, it's cold. There was definitely it's a snowy area. It'd be kind of like where we come from, where you wouldn't expect to see black flies in December. So then they thought that they heard footsteps in the basement and heard doors creaking. So, I mean, you can think that you hear lots of things, right? So, and in my house, often doors do creak because
my
of
house
wind.
creaks and squawks and
Yeah, and like when the heat comes on at home, then it's like you hear it. It expands. There's, physics and
Yeah.
shit.
physics happens to the house.
Yeah. So they thought also that they saw a shadowy figure of a man pacing in the living room, and then also saw a boot print. So I don't know where they saw the boot print. I don't know what the boot print was made out of. I don't know if they saw it in the house or outside of the house. But also, yeah, shadowy figures.
Gary looks like it's pretty poor. I'm just looking it up here.
Yeah.
It's like your
when the
classic
guy,
Rust Belt, half the population's gone, half the houses are abandoned. Yeah.
falling
Sad.
apart.
Kind of like home.
When the guy bought the house, so this ghost investigator man bought the house to do his documentary, it already had squatters in the house. So I feel like any time that there's squatters around, it's Pope. It's a poor place.
It's not.
So Rosa Campbell, LaToya's mother, felt at one stage like she was being choked by an unknown force, plus or minus a ham sandwich being involved. That's
There was a known part of the force and an unknown part of the force.
yes.
There was a ham sandwich, but she thought she'd put the high viscosity mayonnaise on it, so she could just ram it down her gullet.
But someone took the mayonnaise off, and it was a whole thing.
The ghost actually took the mayonnaise, but it's too complicated to explain.
Yeah, yeah. He was trying to do a rainbow party with his ghost friends. Anyway, the 12-year-old girl said that she had levitated whilst unconscious over her bed. Um, she was having a sleepover with a friend at the time, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Jake, but I'll put my preformed commentary in as it was yesterday. So she was like, "Hey, friend, do you want to have a sleepover?" And the other kid was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'll ask my mom. She makes great snacks." And this other girl was like, "No, silly Billy, at my house we have demons." And then she was levitating above her bed, maybe while they were playing light as a feather, stiff as a board. Maybe not. I made that part up. Um, and they prayed until she returned to her bed, and she had no memory of the incident. Um,
Hmm.
so I guess it's her friend who's telling the story.
Yeah.
Um, so then the older son was thrown across the room by an unknown force, and the younger son's eyes once rolled into the back of his head while he said, "It's time to die. I will kill you." But again, no one died, and he didn't kill anybody.
I know that's sort of the theme with a lot of these demon things.
Yeah, like I'm
Uh,
gonna get you.
you
And
know,
then I don't.
I never really had the courage to watch The Exorcist, but I did watch the Cinema Sins version of it.
Oh yeah,
I think one of the priests dies in that movie, goes flying out the window, right?
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I'm not. That stuff does freak me out a little bit, the satanic stuff. But it seems like every time there's a real life haunting, like the Amityville, blah blah blah.
yeah.
even though
Like
they're
nothing
kind of
ever
probably
happens.
made up, nothing really
Yeah,
happens. It's just
yeah,
kind of something you would want the movie rights to sell to,
yeah. Like
suspiciously enough.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think this chick sold any movie rights or anything like that. Um, in the in the documentary, they had a reenactment of this, and
Oh.
it was stupid. Um, so then the family reached out to a physician who visited the house, um, did extensive testing on the house, and decided that the family was delusional. Um, so so
Yeah,
she was just like, "Yeah, you're just crazy."
yeah.
So, the children were taken to the hospital, and the younger boy screamed and thrashed. The Department of Child Services said the kids were performing for their mother, like all kids do, right? Like you and I used to put plays together for mom and dad and make them
Yeah.
be our audience while we, well, um, in fact, you did this even as a young adult in high school,
So
playing the
did
role
you.
of faggot.
You were in the musicals.
I didn't have any speaking parts. I wasn't as into it as you.
I was in it for the pussy. No, just kidding. I
Gosh.
needed something to do.
I was doing AP physics courses and stuff like that.
Yeah, you were. And funny story, when you got your AP Physics exam to write, you broke your
Yeah.
pencil trying to figure out how to open the exam book and lost 15 minutes trying to open the
Yeah.
book like fucking
Well,
Mr. Bean, the Mr. Bean of New Brunswick.
want to hear what's really funny is I had a few moments during exams where I've had like this epiphany moment. So the first one was in, I think it must have been grade 8, geography. We were having a geography quiz, and the question was something about I don't know, olive oil or fucking I don't give a shit anymore.
Why
And
would they ask about
I
olive oil?
I don't know. It wasn't about olive oil, but you'll see where I'm going with this in a second because I just don't know. Um, so I don't know what the question was. Um, but because I don't remember anything about this place. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Everyone else had left. I was the only one left writing the
Oh,
test.
that's because you told
Um,
the teachers you were dyslexic and needed an extra hour to write
no,
your
this
exams.
was in high school. This was in high school. And I was like, you know what? I'm having like a mental blank. I'm just gonna have this muesli bar. So I reached down into my bag. I don't know why they let me do this. I reached down into my bag, got my muesli bar, was having a little chomp a chomp, and I wiped my brow and like I had a really greasy mark on my hand, and I was like, grease. So the answer was grease. So I had that moment, and then in the AP physics exam.
Love that story.
In the AP physics exam, they were asking me all these really hard questions that I had no idea about how to answer. And they had taken away my graphing calculator where all the answers were stored. So I didn't know. But then I had this other epiphany that it didn't matter. Because if you did AP physics and you wrote the AP physics exam, then the physics exam didn't have any effect on your final grade. It was just
whether you passed the advanced placement exam. But
exactly.
Your grade was based on the school's exams.
Yes, and like they gave you time to do, like, it was all about projects and everything, right? And the occasional quiz and stuff. But the AP physics exam was not what I had anticipated. In fact, it was like it was asking about, like, if I heard a duck quack and the echo took such a period of time to get back to me, how far away is the duck? And I was just
duck quacks don't echo.
But I was just like, I don't know, and also I don't give a shit. So I just made up answers. And I passed, and everything was good.
You passed the AP exam or just the class?
Just the class.
I was going to say that would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
You know,
that would like prove the existence of like celestial beings that had
celestial.
Celestial. What am I thinking of? What word am I thinking of?
Celestial.
What does that mean?
From the heavens.
Oh, what does celestial mean?
I think it's menstruating beings from the heavens.
So that would prove Menzies.
Heavenly Menzies. Now the Reverend could probably tell us, but that may be where the the bread in the desert came from when Moses was leading his people. The manna.
The
manna from heaven.
The manna.
Yeah. It was bread. They ate. It tasted like honey. I was kind of looking at it and thinking it was something to do with insects. And geez, I was listening to our last podcast and we were talking about Lick-O-Maid and how it's the fun dips. Now you lick your own saliva. And I was listening to it when I fell asleep, and I had the craziest dream about Jack having an insect mouth and licking like sugar off the sugar stick.
Like little mandibles.
Like a fly mouth. Yeah, mandibles.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So anyway,
before you continue with your story, can I tell you my fucking embarrassing story about a standardized test? So I like to think I'm I've
always masturbated in exam periods.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be anxious. No, I've always been cocky. I consider myself to be this very smart guy, but the reality is so far from that. I'm such a dunce. But
I think that you're like an idiot savant.
You know what? No, what I was blessed with, thankfully, was the ability to memorize shit when I studied. If I studied long enough, I could just memorize anything, so I could do well in school that way.
And thank goodness the human body doesn't have any variations from normal, because otherwise your patience would be fucked.
Yeah, it's always concerning when I come across one and go, "Oh, what's that?"
Wait! No one said that he had collateral circulation. I don't know where to go now.
I just had one of those. Anyway, no. So you had to do these standardized tests in grade 9 and they were like to assess if the intelligence of the population of your province compared to the other provinces.
Yeah. I think I had to do that too.
So I was like, I'm going to blow this thing out of the water, because there were prizes for getting a good mark. And I went through the whole exam, and at the end, there was a question that was a dog was tied to a rope that was tied to the corner of a building, and it asked you to figure out the area that the dog could walk. And So all you had to do, really, looking back on it, of course, was figure
It
out
was
the area
radius
of a
times
circle and then divide it by 4 times 3, right? Because it could walk in 3/4 of the circle and a corner's missing. One quarter's missing. But but what I did was I went on this goddamn extremely elaborate path that because one question that we had studied for was about like how far something can stretch before it breaks, and it was about rope. And so I talked about the elasticity of rope, and I went into this how you couldn't answer the question because rope had an elasticity equivalent of blah blah blah, and I spent like 15 minutes on that and didn't answer all the test questions. And then when I was like, well, I didn't get through it, but at least I showed them, I'm smarter than the examiners. And then I went and reread the question, and it said, assume the rope has no elasticity. And then I had to pass it in.
Oh, damn.
And that's a perfect example of why I'm cocky, but I'm a fucking moron. All right, so back to the demon house. LaToya Jackson's demon house.
I hate that shit.
And then and then the marks came out and they were like, New Brunswick, it was the worst province in the country. And I was like, that was me.
That was my bad.
They can't even read the questions.
I know. Well, my boss sends me a lot of stuff that I have to report back on.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of shit that I got to get through. So I try to skim it sometimes, and then I'll tell her what's what, and then she's like, that's not what I asked for at all. And I'll go back and I'll read the email, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, damn it. Just stop using big words. Like, you don't have to prove to me that you're smart.
I know, you put big words in your reports, ambulating normally and stuff, but I always just say tall well. And I've always found that when you just say the shortest possible thing you can do, then nobody questions it.
All right. So the kids had a history of irregular school attendance, and when the Department of Child Services asked the mom, she blamed the demons. It's the demons, of course. The physicians say that the kids had delusions of ghosts in the home and hallucinations. The landlord stated that he never experienced anything in the house, neither did any of his previous tenants, and that he thinks LaToya may have claimed supernatural things happening to avoid paying the rent. So
good excuse.
There's a shocker.
I was going to go to the bank, but I was visited by a gray man last night.
Yeah, there's a shadowy figure blocking my way.
I'm sorry. I was busy being sodomized by the demon horse you didn't tell me that lived in this fucking house. Maybe can you hold off till next Thursday?
Yeah. I'll pay my rent once you sage this motherfucker. So, now that I've watched the mockumentary, they found her in her new address, and I feel like she was dodging rent because of mold or because of something else in this house. And
so she was believable in the documentary, I mean.
Yeah, well, she did. I mean, she didn't try to get money to sell the rights. She didn't want to be. She didn't come onto the mockumentary, so it was just a thing.
She was genuinely terrified of the house, and
yeah,
maybe because she's crazy, but not because she was making it up.
I think that she was making it up because
okay.
Now she's trying to dodge rent from this other building by saying that there's something else going on in this new building.
Between that and the fact that demons aren't real, she may have been making it up.
Yes. Yeah.
Demons may be real, but I don't think they would waste their time.
No.
That just freaked me out. As I was saying that, a deer walked up to my office window and looked in it at me. That is that's my worst nightmare. If it turns around and there's a dead baby deer hanging out of its vagina, I'm going to have a heart attack.
Well, or if it just sits there and doesn't blink. And its big black eyes stare into your soul.
Chaos reigns.
So psychologists say that the kids were acting for their mother, and the youngest acted possessed whenever he was challenged and asked something he didn't want to answer.
It's a good way of getting into stuff.
Is it ever?
Fake a seizure.
I do it all the time. A film was made called Demon House, and it was released in March 2018. Um, I think it's all complete bullshit. Um, so the other thing that was kind of weird is that this had become big news at the time. People were either into it because they wanted to see all the crazy bullshit and that people were doing and some crazy shit, or they just thought that the house literally had 200 demons in it. And the New York Times reported that a Department of Child Services personnel allegedly, so that gets you, right? So if they didn't have that allegedly, I'd be like, whoa, crazy. Witnessed the youngest boy walking up the wall backwards. Um,
Ooh.
and Charles Austin, a 37-year police veteran captain, believed that the house was in fact paranormal, and had activity in it.
Okay.
A shadowy figure in a photo was seen when nobody was home, but that begs the question, who took the photo? And Michael Maginot performed an exorcism. He interviewed the family and concluded that they were in fact tormented by demons. Again, I call bullshit. And I said this to you yesterday, but I'll say it to you again because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a redo.
so
A mulligan. We're taking a
so
mulligan.
Oh, speaking of Mulligan,
Yeah.
I put Irish Siri on my phone, and she's delightful.
Oh.
Yeah, hey Siri, subscribe to this podcast. Um, so,
I can't
yeah,
do
so
that, Dave.
this 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 guy who perform like my belief in the supernatural has, it hangs by a thread, right?
Yeah.
Like I already don't believe in majority of this shit. I mean, there's probably some shit that if you asked me a series of questions, I'd probably go, yeah, it's possible.
There's all
But
kinds of stuff we don't know about. It's just
yeah,
that we don't believe that
and
anything would
well,
take
the
its
thing is
time
that
to...
I thought like the stuff that I don't know about is where the church came in and the fact that they have exorcists doing a job. But then I
Right.
realized that this Michael guy is an exorcist, and his job is to excise demons or exorcise demons.
Exercise them.
Excise. Well,
Need a
excise.
treadmill.
But wait, they do exorcise the demons, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it
But
sounds funny.
but they could also excise the demons
That'd be
because
like
that would
if the
mean cut
demon was
out.
a lump. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lump in your
Um,
armpit.
so like you could kind of imagine how this would have gone down. They would have been like, "Look, Michael, I think maybe is the Pope. He's the boss, so he would call Michael and he'd be like, "Hey, Michael, look, um, I think you're doing a really great job, but I think maybe public speaking just isn't in your strength area. I think it's something that we can certainly work on, but for now, you're going to be an exorcist." So instead of church service on Sunday, I'd like you to travel to Spain, where there's a young child that is
It's what happens to priests with
exemplifying.
stutters, basically, I think is what we were...
Exemplifying.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Now, did
Yeah.
they used to think people who stuttered were possessed by a demon?
No, but
I
they
feel like I
they
read
did
that
say
somewhere.
that chronic headaches can be a sign of a demon possession.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just chock full.
I know.
I'm
I've been...
chock full.
sometimes when I go to the bathroom, I'm sure demon is the only possible explanation for what's happening.
Oh my gosh! Guess what happened? I
What?
bought. Okay, I'm gonna give you and the people at home these moments to guess. You've got 3 guesses for a random purchase that I have recently made.
A bidet.
Whoa.
Am I- Are you
there is
serious?
there is a menstruating god.
Well, I was talking about the bathroom, and then I was thinking, I saw that ad on Facebook for the bidet, and I was like, I bet he bought a bidet.
I did. Well, you know what prompted me to buy the bidet? It was
The
men
inability to
try.
reach my anus
Filling,
anymore.
filling
I've
with
just
my
been sort
ass.
of daubing at it.
Oh gosh. No, the guys no, men try
Yeah.
did we tried a bidet for the first time,
No way.
and I was like, okay, if these guys can do it, I can do it, because I also watched this guy called I think his name is Michael Sloss,
Yeah.
or something Sloss anyway, and he's a comedian, and I went to see him a couple years ago, and he was like, wiping your ass, you have to shave your asshole, because if you smeared peanut butter on a carpet, are you just going to get a piece of tissue paper and wipe that up? So
Yeah, but
it's like, good point, Sloss.
we
So
we've talked about this.
I know. I don't know if we have on this particular
Maybe on the
podcast.
other podcast.
But yeah, I was like, yeah, fair enough. I'm not going to shave my ass, but I will shower it after poopy doops. Um,
Well, now hold
so
on. Okay, I've taken the car to the touchless car wash, and it comes out, and it's still covered in like road grime. You need a sponge. You can't.
well, I mean, you
It's not
still you still
clean to
wipe.
just blow
You still
water on
wipe.
your ass. It just spreads the shit bugs around your ass and
No,
taint.
you still give it a wipe, but
Okay.
it's like a in between wipe slash first wipe slash.
Your mouth just made a farting sound.
Hold on, I gotta go to the bidet and wipe my mouth out.
That'd be awful if you were like, if you had the flu and you were like on your hands and knees
Oh
over the
man,
toilet and bidet your
you
face.
you know what? It was such a fucking disaster trying to install it, because because of course I did it myself,
Yeah, a DIY.
and a DIY, and it was horrific. It was just, it was a mess. There was water all over the floor. I when I turned it to test it, and like I thought that it was going to be like,
A
you see
sprinkle,
them in the
a gentle
movies, yeah, and
shower.
it's like a shower head that goes up, like
Yeah.
straight up. This full force, like toothpick, that water pick
Oh no,
velocity
wait!
of,
It blows like, it shoots that hard, does it?
oh yes. Like,
Well, how
and
do you must have to guess where your butthole is, or can you
no,
steer
it knows.
when you're
It
sitting?
knows.
What do you
Nope,
mean it
it
knows?
knows. It just, I don't know.
It has butthole seeking technology.
It has, I don't know. I think it's the menstruating gods, because it was, like you just turn it on. It's like boom, target on
Button
point.
finder.
Like,
I'd be worried that I'd like get water up my ass and then I'd have to shit again. If it's
Well,
that strong.
I mean, it
Maybe
does
it's good
catch you
for
off
you.
guard. It's got like a not like a gauge on the side. So
And it's
first
cold.
it self cleans. Yeah, so it self cleans, and then you turn it the other direction, and you can start with a trickle, and then you can go to straight up jet up the anus.
Now, I'll tell you,
Um,
if we've got this jet technology available, why don't they have it so it blows the shit off the toilet bowl itself? Because
well,
that's
that's what the self cleaning does.
what do you mean it
It
self cleans the
goes,
toilet?
yeah, it goes down, so
Oh,
it blows anything off the little
the
nozzly
ledge.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you turn it the other way, and ooh, right up there.
Wow.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. There's nothing better than a clean taint.
I'm just not sure it'd be that clean. I'm not sure you're not just blowing shit up on your balls and in your pubes.
No, it's like super accurate. Like like
I'm not
there's
installing one, so it's
there's no moisture on my ass cheeks at all. Like
just
none.
right up the hole.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Like I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works. I feel like when you turn it on, something must come out and like point up. But every
like
time I try
alien
to look
probe
at it, it
technology.
sprays me in the face. So I can't test it.
You are Mr. Bean.
But I mean,
bidet.
like the first time it got me like in my forehead, and it was clean, and I'd never used it before, and I was like, this is okay.
Yeah.
I'll survive this. The second time, I was like showing Aaron,
Yeah.
and
You're
I was
like,
like, you
look,
turn it
I
this
just had
way.
a shit, and watch, I pressed this button. I've got to
No,
get to work, Dan.
no, just look at me. Look at this.
Look at my ass.
But the second time, because I needed her help to help me install it, and then she knocked it or something, and it jetted right into my mouth. And I was like, that one got me for sure. That one definitely went into my mouth. Like, there was no, like, we hadn't used it, like, for poop. We were
Whoa.
still installing it, but
But it's
I
still
didn't
toilet
like,
water.
I didn't like how wet I was getting installing this thing. And I had to use like 4 towels on the ground because it kept leaking. And
I'm
then
going to tell you something, and it's not that I'm having a clairvoyant moment, but maybe. I am predicting that Elijah will fuck up your bathroom using it.
oh, I know. I'm really worried about it.
Yeah, that kind of technology should not be around children.
But I do have a big drain in my toilet. So
Okay.
in the bathroom. So I mean it might ruin the walls, and because it shoots so hard. Like I could see it
awesome.
boring a hole in the gyp rock.
That's a water pick.
but yeah, I think mainly just one, maybe 2 rooms would be destroyed.
Now I want to visit Australia just to poop.
Well, you should. It would $25 on Amazon.
I'd rather go to Australia. I'm not going to install one.
You just need to. It's just the best.
I will once
Okay.
Jack's a little older. Anyway.
Okay,
the demon
weirdos.
house.
Now listen here. If any of you have a bidet or have used a bidet, I want you to email us at onefootinthegravepodcast@gmail.com. I'll keep it anonymous. Just let me tell me your story.
We'll
me.
do bidet stories if anybody
Yeah.
sends one in. I've never used one.
Well, neither had I. It is cold, and it does catch you off guard if you just go from 0 to 100. But it's nice. It's especially in the summertime. It's refreshing.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Yep. So tell me about your stupid one.
Oh, how did it end up with the demon house? The kid levitated. They moved out eventually.
They moved out. Everything stopped. The guy bought the house to do the movie. And then the guy who bought the house claims all of these things. Like, if you've got to watch the documentary,
But he's
because
making a movie about it, right? So it's
well, yeah, he's in it to make money, right?
suspicious.
But like the acting, not in the reenactments, like that's expected to be bad. But
Yeah.
when he's like, and then this urge to to hurt this man overcame me, and it happened to be caught on camera, and it's him like doing this "come at me, bro" move, like pumping his chest out, and then he walks away, and he's like, I don't know what would have happened if I didn't catch myself and walk away from the situation. I'm like, nothing, because you're making this shit up.
Yeah, it's make believe.
And then he's like, the cameraman had a full-on breakdown at the hotel, and I was like, it's the worst acting. You just really need to see it. It's
Yeah.
really funny. It's on YouTube. Do that.
I'll look it up. I found a new this YouTube channel called Bedtime Stories, and I'm getting some material from them. But I'll tell you about the Lighthouse Keepers of Eileen Moore, which I think is now a movie. It's I saw like a trailer of guys in a lighthouse, and there were monsters crawling over the rocks. Probably the same thing, but
Oh no, I think that was Shutter Island.
oh, maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't.
I'm not up to speed.
No, that was 20 years ago.
Shutter Island, was that Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yeah.
Did he end up being the bad guy? He was
No,
crazy.
I think he ended up being a lobotomized fella.
No, shame.
Yeah.
Anyway, this story takes place in the Flannan Islands, in the Outer Hebrides, in just northwest of Scotland. I know. Sorry, it's boring because I've already told you the story, but
No, it was boring the
creepy.
first time.
yeah. I like these. I like these unsolved. I'm doing almost straight paranormal, but I did find one that I thought I might do. Remember the the Dyatlov Pass story.
Oh yeah.
So there's an American version, and I don't want to give too much away, but it involves 5 mentally disabled guys, one of whom was able to drive, and they disappeared. Anyway.
Well, I mean, but the mystery isn't that mysterious for how that went down.
Well, no, they found bodies later. It was pretty weird.
Yeah,
it's
I know,
a really
but
weird story.
But they just got lost. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Anyway, it's not. Yeah, it was just kind of more of a sad story. Actually, I'm not going to do that
Yes.
one. But
So these 5 mentally disabled guys went for a walk in the woods, and they
Got lost.
never returned.
they got turned around,
And they died.
animals. Terrible.
Whoa! We'll never know what happened.
Yeah. There's no explanation other than they were mentally
Then they
disabled.
didn't know what they were doing.
Poor guys. I mean, they weren't that. They were like Paralympians. They were like Forrest Gump level, high functioning. I think. I'm making it up now. I can't. That's not my case. Okay, let's get in the time
Anyway,
machine.
so how'd they get found? No, just
Yeah.
joking.
Let's get in the
All
time
right.
machine. 1900. Boodaloo, 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 boodaloo.
1900.
I know.
I mean, go. You go.
If you
Go
think
you.
about if you think about the way lighthouses used to work, they'd be on these rocky promontories.
We're off to a fucking great start.
Well, listen.
Please go into
You are the
detail
guy
about-
who likes Harry Potter, and if you remember the family when they were trying to get away from all the letters from Hogwarts, moved to a lighthouse, right? They're super lonely. They're out in the middle of nowhere. So the Flannan Islands are in the Outer Hebrides. There's 7 of these islands, and Eileen Moor is the big one, and that's the one they put the lighthouse on. It's about like 280 feet high, and there's a little field of grass at the top of this rocky cliff, and the locals had always been a little superstitious about the island. They wouldn't stay the night on it. Sometimes they'd take the sheep over during the day to give them the grass, but then they would
How did they get over there?
in a boat. They would use a boat.
So how many sheep would they be able to take over there to graze?
I'm not sure. I've
weren't
never
very
tried to
good
squeeze a lot
farmers.
of sheep in a boat.
Me and me 4 sheep are going to go over and graze on the Hebrides.
Oh, listen, lad. I gotta feed these sheep. They're tired of my grass. I'll take them to the island. Take them to the Outer Hebrides and the Flannan Islands.
Let them graze all day,
But
and then I'll
not
bring
not
them back
overnight.
home.
Not overnight because there's fucking ghosts there and shite. That's fucking haunted, mate. Anywho, December 15th, 1900, they built this lighthouse, and the standard was that you'd have 3 guys in it at all times, right? So, and one guy always had to stay in the lighthouse, and other guys would do the repairs and stuff, but there was always 3 people there. So December 15th, a sudden squall broke out in the Outer Hebrides, and a American steamer, the SS Archstore, passed close to Eileen Moor on its way to port in Edinburgh, but they noticed the lighthouse was dark on December 15th. So they reported it when they docked in Oban, but there was no immediate action due to the weather.
Didn't they have radios back then?
No, 1900. So it's weird. They didn't even have telegraph on the island. They had to use a semaphore, which is when you move your hands and make like visible signs, and then people on the mainland on a clear day could see them, but if there was a storm, nobody could see them. So the relief vessel was called the Hesperus. It was supposed to launch on the 20th of December, and that was going to bring a replacement guy for one of the 3 lighthouse keepers, but it was delayed until Boxing Day because of the squall. On December 26th, so Boxing Day, James Harvey, the captain of the Hesperus, brought Joseph Moore, the replacement lighthouse keeper, to the island. When they got there, though, there's an east landing and a west landing. They got to the east landing and it looked normal, but nobody was on the platform waiting for them. And so he blew the horn 3 times and shot a signal flare up by the lighthouse, and still nobody came down. So Moore had to get into this little rowboat and row into the landing. And then he had to climb up the steps, and when you see pictures of it, it's pretty steep and very Harry Potter-esque. Goes like, it's just really quite something. Went all the way up to the lighthouse.
Grabbed my attention now. I'll put Harry Potter in the.
My goodness, Harry! That's the only line. It's the only line I know.
It's never spoken in the show, movie, or book.
Oh, is that you, Professor? I can't do it like you do.
No, because again, it doesn't happen. That never happens.
Yeah. Well, I can't do many
My
words.
my goodness, Harry.
That's what Dumbledore sounds like. Oh, goodness, Harry.
Oh my goodness, Harry.
Oh, didn't mean to step on your toes, Professor. Like, fuck, I don't know. I only got certain things I can say. I'm not good at impressions. That's another
You know
thing.
what's?
I thought I
I'm
was a
having
genius. I thought I knew about the elasticity of fucking ropes. No. And then I listen back and I'm like, hey, I got these voices and I do these voices and they're really close to the real. No, when I listen to our podcast, I'm like, I'm a fucking moron. It just sounds like a guy with a borderline speech impediment and a nasally voice pretending to have a Scottish accent or whatever.
I hate my nasally voice.
Yours isn't nasally, but mine definitely is. And your impressions are very good. Like your Hagrid was spot on. But mine just sounds like me pretending to, I don't know.
Pretending. I think that's what an impression is. Mine just sounds like me pretending to sound like someone else.
I know, but mine sounds like somebody missing a chromosome trying to sound like somebody else.
I think it might be an extra chromosome. No, it's missing a chromosome, isn't it?
Well, no, trisomy is the Downs, and then monosomy is when you're missing one. Anyway.
Which one's which?
Trisomy would be Down syndrome. Like
but
trisomy 21.
You've got an extra one?
That's an extra one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because most people have two of each.
What is the... Well, where does that extra one come from?
Well, it's a cleave. When your cell mitosis and meiosis, how when they cleave, and in meiosis, you're supposed to end up with one of each in a cell. So, like, normal humans have 46 chromosomes, but it's 23 pairs.
Yeah.
But if, like, you think of a sperm cell and it splits and it takes both of the chromosome 21s, then instead of having 23, it has 24. And then it fertilizes the egg, and then instead of 46, it has 47. So they have trisomy 21.
My goodness, Harry.
I hope that cleared it up, Professor. Fuck. It's even worse.
Okay, as you were, there's...
Wingardium Leviosa.
Oh my gosh, it was like Hermione Granger was just here in the room with me.
Was that Emma Stone?
No.
That's not her name. Watson.
No, Emma Watson.
Fuck. Everything I do is stupid. Jack was right.
Jake says all the things that are stupid.
God, that kid's got me pegged. He was right. I was wrong about fucking Tupac and Biggie, and wrong about this too.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things that we're going to be wrong about, but...
Yeah.
But
we're just going to continue misinforming you because it's fun for us.
You know what? I just had this moment where I forgot that this was live.
Oh, it's still recording. Sorry. Sorry, friends.
Well, I'm just doodling on this piece of paper while I'm listening to you
blather
on. And I was like, wait, I'm speaking right now as well. So that's just bizarre. Okay. As you were, go on.
Yeah. So,
tell me about the doors that were locked.
Yeah, the doors, there's some sources say the doors were locked to the lighthouse and the compound. And so then inside the lighthouse, everything was in order. The lamps were cleaned and filled, because you're thinking oil lamps, right? The washing up was done. The beds were made. The beds were unmade, as though they'd just gotten up in the morning. And there were cold ashes in the grate. There was an overturned chair in the kitchen, and this Moore guy noticed that all the clocks had stopped. I think clocks would last like 2 days if you wound them, so it had obviously been more than 2 days since the people were missing.
Mine lasts 30 days when I wind it.
Yeah, but the lighthouse was dark on the 15th, and this is the 26th. I don't know, maybe.
The one at Mum and Dad's house only lasts a week.
Yeah, and this is 1900, so maybe they were a little shittier then, I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
So he went back to the boat and collected 3 more crew members, and they searched the island looking for the missing lighthouse keepers. the east landing where they were was normal, but the west landing was all torn up, and there was a box of supplies 110 feet above sea level that had been smashed and its contents had been strewn about. The iron railings for the staircase had been bent over, and the rail itself had been wrenched out of its concrete housing. And
How far away was the box from the railing?
I don't know, but there was also a 1-ton stone that had fallen, so maybe it had fallen on the railing.
Onto the railing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then on top of the cliff, 200 feet above sea level, turf had been ripped away. The keepers have kept their log until 9 a.m. on December 15th.
Like
and in the log they that's where they developed the practice. In the log they talked about the damage had already occurred by the 15th, and there were 2 sets of oilskins missing, but the third set was hanging by the door.
Oilskins are like a jacket?
Like a raincoat. And rain slickers, basically.
Yeah.
Moore and the 3 volunteers stayed behind to get the lighthouse back up and running, and the Hesperus returned to port, and Captain Harvey sent a telegram to the lighthouse board saying an accident had happened and the keepers were missing. He suspected they'd either drowned or been blown off the cliff. Then there were a lot of theories at the time. They thought maybe they'd been captured by a rogue navy.
Rogue Nation.
Rogue Navy.
I thought you said Rogue Nation.
I said it wrong. So I read this one again. I wrote this one. I read this one
the
again.
Instructions. Well, I've written Rogue Nation, but not just in pen. This was yesterday. I wrote it in the ash of Palo Santo.
Oh, you smudged it.
I smudged. It's a smudge. Yes, so, as you were. Sorry.
I mean, the most likely thing to me, and now this is kind of cool. I was looking at these today, this morning when I was working out in the gym. I was put on YouTube videos now, and I was watching one about rogue waves, and they didn't even know they existed until I think like 20 years ago. It's pretty recent.
Well, when
they've been witnessed? Right?
Well, no, it's like 15 years ago when Perfect Storm came out. So whenever that was.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there were a couple of incidents where people recorded it happening, but until then, it was kind of this legend of the sea. But they can get, just a rogue wave is just any wave like more than 3 times bigger than the other waves around, but they can get up to, 100 or 200 feet high. And so what I think might have happened is that the one guy was up in the lighthouse and he saw one coming in. The other 2 guys were down doing the repairs. And he ran to warn them, and all 3 of them got swept away. But they never found the bodies, and bodies from there would normally wash up on one of the other islands. So there was that. And
how many bodies did they lose over there?
Well, sheep and stuff, right?
Normally, the bodies wash up here. I don't know where these bodies have gone. Harry?
3 more bodies.
How peculiar.
I found those ones. Well, chuck another body in and see where it goes. How many bodies do we have
volunteers?
Left? 42 bodies. But the weird thing was that if those doors were really locked, and if locked means somebody took a key to lock them, then my theory kind of falls apart. The overturned chair in the kitchen, though, kind of made me think, oh, well, maybe, he saw this thing coming and just bolted.
Yeah, it was like, yo. Boys.
But of course, people have raised sea monsters. They've raised aliens. To me, it's freaky enough that the getting swept away by a giant wave. I think that'd be just like the most terrifying moment you could have. But then I kind of got into the YouTube loop this morning. So I watched that thing about rogue waves, and then that under that the recommended videos is like are plesiosaurs still in existence, the big dinosaurs in the water they have big long neck like a giraffe neck and then fins. So then I started watching that, and then I got into the sea monster thing, alert. And I was like, they cryptids. Reading about cryptids. But yeah, the ocean, man, it's there's some fucked up stuff in the ocean.
It's out there.
That's the end of the story. That's the lesson. Every time
is this. Well,
every time I go on the water, on the ocean, especially in a small boat like a fishing boat, I feel completely freaked out. I don't know. I don't
What
like say anything, but I feel it. Like there's big living stuff under here that would eat me, no question. And then the waves can get you. I don't know.
What freaks me out about the ocean is any time that there's dark water involved. So,
Like
if
Natalie
you're
Wood.
swimming, like Natalie Wood.
She was always afraid of dark water, and then she died in it.
Yeah, well, that would be a bad way to go. But I did a little bit more research into this because I was like, this is like we need to have a hook here. Like, where could these bodies have ended up? Anyway,
are you eating a chocolate bar?
No, I'm playing with some it's a deck of cards.
Sorry, cellophane.
So anyway, they replicated this a few years ago, where they put the bodies into the ocean around this
Eileen Moore.
Eileen Moore,
Yeah.
and all three of the I guess they're dummies, yeah, ended up floating out to sea and ended up at this place in Gary, Indiana.
I had you had me going there for a minute.
And they found that if they did it, there was 200 bodies that had washed up at the shore. This house in Gary, Indiana.
200
so
demons.
200.
So those two stories were well related.
Yep. So there you go. That's where it all happened.
Anyway, check out the dude on YouTube, Bedtime Stories. He does a little bit of artwork, but he's very good at presenting. The only complaint I have is at the end of the story, which is a good story to fall asleep to, really loud, it goes, Bedtime Stories. And I fucking jumped out of my skin the first time I heard that.
So, folks, don't forget to send us your bidet stories. Keep sending, Carmen. Just send me another ghost story that I'll research. John, you're in charge of doing something for Jake.
Yeah, just let us know if you want t-shirts.
Yeah, and the t-shirts thing. I'll put the link in the description section.
Reverend, keep praying for our lost souls.
Sorry. One Foot in the Grave podcast.weebly.com. And that will be in the description section, so you can just click on it. And
Facebook, One Foot in the Grave podcast on Facebook.
And Twitter.
Oh, yeah, we're
True
on Twitter.
Crime Bros.
Yeah. You know, I've turned into a Twitter troll. I just dislike my prime minister so strongly. I'm not a partisan guy, but I'm now a Twitter troll.
You're going to get yourself on a list.
I am probably on a few lists.
Yeah. They're like guns. Hates prime ministers.
Nope, never talk about guns online. I know,
but
except on this podcast.
You've registered for 20 of them, and I've seen your collection.
Yeah, but I collect all kinds of things. Guitars, I'm just a collector. Hooker heads, it's
hooker heads.
It's just like benign.
You know what I'm into, like big time.
What's that?
I'm into the incense at the moment.
Colognes and incense.
I like
olfactory.
I'm a fragrant fella. Yeah, an olfactory fella. So next week I'm going to talk about. I did a little bit more research into this as well. It's kind of creepy, and it's all about Dad, but visitation dreams. And the meaning behind them and shit, because I'm fully into it, because I've had
experiencing it. Yeah.
I'm experiencing it. Well, I'm not experiencing it anymore. The last dream that I had, Dad said, I've got to go. Bye, Felicia. And I said, my name's not Felicia. And he's like, it is actually. Bye.
Where did that come from? Bye, Felicia.
I don't know.
You said that the other
States.
day. Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to talk about. It's kind of weird. I'll probably throw something else in there if I can find anything else. But if anyone else has had visitation dreams, Google it. It's weird. I haven't
had one in a few days, but I've had them. Yeah.
Might sway me, but it might sway me into thinking that there's something going on. I don't know.
Well, I believe in the afterlife. I believe in the soul.
I know, but
you don't have to sway me.
I mean, there's not a huge leap between visitation dreams being like a real visitation from beyond and ghosts.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Like when you're asleep. Kind of like mentally disabled guys. Maybe there's an explanation, as in you're sleeping.
I know.
Well,
Well, I'll get into it next week because it's weird.
yeah, I'll
All
look
right.
forward to that. All right.
Like our things. Bye.
Yep. Subscribe.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Bye.